NTV.
Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. My name is Rami Busiko. Of course, our next conversation is largely centered around NRM politics. They just concluded MP nominations, yes, and so forth. I do have the NRM Communications Manager, Mr. Mulindwa, and he has already made it to the studio. Very good morning, sir.
Good morning to you and to all our viewers. Good morning.
All right, you have some candidates who went through unopposed. You're going to let us in on that, and they just concluded MP nominations. What should the viewer know?
Of course, we have had a number of activities as a build up to the general elections. Ugandans must be aware we had a very successful, I could say, membership registration exercise despite that interruption by COVID-19. That one done, we went to, we had the primaries. We made sure we conducted the primaries everywhere. We had successful SIG elections where you are aware we swept most of these positions across the country unchallenged by other parties. We had the nomination signatures, 5 million, where some people thought we were faking this, and we told them to try. And they are faking stories that police took their signatures, but at least we had 5 million. We have had the MOP nominations for all constituencies, as you were saying, and we have 6 of them going through unopposed, but of course we are going to have the number higher with the district chairpersons. Of course, when you look at all these, the 6, for instance, you'll see we have 2 from Bunyoro, which is Western Uganda, in Hoima and in Chivali. We have 1 in Kabong, which could be Karamoja region. We have 1 going through unopposed in Arua, where I have always seen people jumping up and down, talking big about people power, about FDC. They couldn't find a suitable candidate to represent them for women's seat in Arua district.
Yes.
You go to Buganda, the western, Buganda West, the other side of Rakai, we have 1 unopposed. And then you come to Nakaseke in the central here, 1 person unopposed. This is a true representation. The distribution represents the whole country. And these are indications that NRM is still very strong. But putting that aside, you saw we unveiled the official portrait of our candidate. That one has been done. We have 3 activities ongoing. We are producing a digital register. And we have a team which is doing this in Nakawa. We have camped there for now about 3 months, and they are working on a digital register. We want to avoid the challenges we had this time. Because of COVID-19, we did not complete our register on time. And therefore, you saw what happened when the national chairperson had to guide that every known member of the party should go in the line and vote. These are things we are trying to avoid in the next elections. With a digital register, we shall be able to keep updating it as time goes on. Another activity which is starting tomorrow are the reconciliation meetings, Tuesday across
with those
the country.
who lost.
Yeah, we still think even those nominated as independents can still step down if we go to these districts and talk to them. But most importantly, we don't want the divisions to escalate and cause more conflict amongst our membership. So we are going to do this, and the Secretary General is going to dispatch of teams to all districts in this country. And then the other activity, which is...
Before you go to the other activity, Mr. Mulindwa, let's first interrogate that issue of independence. Yes, you have Shatis Musherure within Maogola North, Zimbabwe, who is saying, no, for me, I'm going to run as an independent. Even Aine Kagoto Sodo, who will be running as an independent. Even the situation is replicated within Bukanga, Isingiro district, independence. What is happening?
For Zimbabwe, that's Maogola North.
North, yes.
It's not them saying. It's the party saying.
Pulling out.
Because, you see, when we conducted the primaries, I think 30th of September, there were some issues. After the issues, the Electoral Commission came and said, yes, we have discovered there were some irregularities here and there. We are going to have the election here and here. Even after the re-election, then they said, no. One of them petitioned to the tribunal, and then they said, yes, there were issues. by the time we got the final report, it was too late for us to conduct another election in the same constituency. And the nominations were just one day. Actually, almost hours to the nomination date, the final day, the Friday. So the Secretary General had to rule and said, we allow them to go independent. One thing I want to assure Ugandans is that that constituency will be won by an NRM, an independent NRM leaning.
But then the viewer wants to know, what does it mean exactly?
You see, it's another way of exercising democracy because the process, if we had not done this, then that meant we would have continued with the hearing of these cases, conducting more elections, doing this and this, and perhaps we would have missed out on the nomination. So there was no time, and we never wanted to be an excuse to go to the Electoral Commission and say, the Independent Electoral Commission, that please, we are unable to do this, give us more time. We couldn't.
But then, Mr. Mulinda, the reason you chose the mode of suffrage that we saw during the NRM primaries, people lining behind each other, was to do away with such irregularities. How do you fail to announce a winner when people are just lining behind each other? You can clearly see there are 20 people on the other side, there are 30 people on this other side. How hard was it, Mr. Mulindwa?
Of course, lining up has a lot of advantages in terms of the cost, the transparency, there's quite a lot of advantages. However, it was also mismanaged.
Right.
One, we have to confess that we could even see people exchanging money on the lines.
That was happening, yes.
Yeah. Two, we could see people pulling others this side and this side, and there are even areas where people are saying the counting, that they even one could count up to 10 and then skips the other numbers and goes up to 15. So these irregularities were there. But to me, this was the first time we are doing this. We can continue improving on this, because when you look at the number of cases we had, 400 something, but not spread out in the whole country. These cases were mainly from 14 districts out of the 142. You could see it is Zimbabwe all the time. It is Zimbabwe. It is Zimbabwe. It is Zimbabwe. It is Zimbabwe. Some other districts had very, very peaceful elections. So to me, I would even say our primaries were very successful, despite the few isolated challenges here and there. So we shall continue under the guidance of the Central Executive Committee. We shall continue to see how best we can improve on this, but lining up remains the best. But still, our registrars in some districts doctor the results. And these things happen.
Especially Singiro in Bukanga.
Yeah.
3 primaries, repeat primaries. Even Moses Chigongo got involved.
Changed the results from the reality to something different. And we must confess that happened. You know, we are dealing with a party with mass numbers. The big numbers. And when so many people come together, I wish NRM was like a CP.
Yes.
Where you have Honorable Chamsi, the wife and the children, and even some of the children are opposed, they are NRM. And you know, you just manage your thing from the sitting room. But NRM with these big numbers, believe me or not, these challenges had to be there. We just need to find a way of improving on that, so that in the future, one, we have a register, as I've told you, and then 2, we keep sensitizing our people to appreciate that there must be one winner.
No, Mr. Mulinda, all this craftiness, the rigging that we saw within these NRM primaries, aren't you worried that the same behavior shall be replicated on the national stage?
I don't want to speak for the Independent Electoral Commission, but of course, not only from the NRM side, but even from the other side. You have seen, for instance, in Parliament, where you could see some opposition MPs standing on the table. If an MP can step on top of a table, then expect that MP to cause chaos at a polling station. Yeah, you just expect that at a polling station. So there will be scenes of chaos.
Yes.
And the Electoral Commission they have to prepare for that.
Since emanating from the NRM?
No. Because of the individualism, our character.
But the violence we saw during these internal primaries was basically from the NRM.
Yeah, do you know why? Let me tell you. In 1980s, when the Democratic Party was so strong, everybody would fight to make sure he has a DP flag.
Yes.
The fight you saw within NRM is symbolic. I could say it's an illustration that Ugandans still have confidence in NRM. Everybody knows it's NRM which is going to be there in 2021. What do? I want to be part of a winning team. There is no much fight in UPC now because they know the best they can do is a few constituencies in Apache and Lira. I don't think there is so much struggle for these positions in FDC because they see they have done it and they have not succeeded for so long. So my brother Kaija will go through in Kampala Central as a flag bearer for FDC and he challenged it in Kampala. Okay? So they are not so much, that vigor is no more. But with NRM, people struggle. Everybody knows this is the party which is still there. And we must fight for that space. So that's why you see some of this confusion.
We must fight for that space.
Yeah, within their constituencies. That's why you see,
primaries?
yeah, I can say, yes. I can confess and say that's partly why people have that violence. Everybody says, I must identify myself with NRM. So others want to fight for it.
Because I remember in the past you mentioned that an NRM ticket means a direct path to parliament. And that's why people continue to fight.
75% I would say yes. You have an NRM ticket, you have a visa to parliament.
But what about the over-commercialization of politics that we saw in the internal primaries? People giving out money in daylight. Don't you think this shall be replicated on the national stage? And what would be the ramifications?
That's very bad. And our national chairperson has always come out to condemn that. And actually, the reason why we thought lining up would be a solution, because we knew people were giving out money, and we thought if you eat somebody's money, he'll be waiting for you on the line. So the best thing to do is to avoid this money so that you vote a person of your choice. But we shall continue improving on this. It's not only in NRM, it appears somewhere else, but I don't want to be so much concerned with other parties. But this is one virus we have to strongly fight, and we shall eliminate it.
Speaking of other political parties, we saw a raid on the National Unity Platform offices last week on Wednesday. And when I did talk to Mr. Rubongoya, the Secretary General, the following day, he mentioned that this was instigated by people who are strong in government, especially the NRM party, who wanted to frustrate the opposition National Unity Platform, which they deem as a threat now, more than FDC back in the day. Do you think this was all meant to weaken the National Unity Platform and give a chance to President Museveni to go through without any problem? Remember, they had collected 7 million signatures. Yes, on Wednesday, so they were confiscated. On Friday, we see President Museveni giving away 5 million signatures to the Electoral Commission. And some people, especially within NUP, were saying those were our signatures. You get what I mean?
Yeah, I don't...
you get 7 million signatures, you remove 2, then you give 5 to President Museveni. How true are these allegations?
Of course, one, we had presented our signatures earlier than that event.
Yes.
So there is no way we would have gone to their offices, then pick them and then take them.
But officially, the signatures were presented on Friday for President Museveni.
No, but ours, we had done it earlier, you remember. Yeah. But two, for President Museveni does not need to win, rather to make an attack on NUP for him to win an election. No.
Right.
And I want to categorically state here that as NRM, as a party, we are not in any way involved in that. That's why I think it was a police issue. They know why they went there. Yes. They must have had maybe some clues on what they exactly wanted. We are still waiting to hear from them. But as a party, we also felt bad to see such an act on NUP. They are not part of the iPod group, but still we say yes, the ground must be leveled for everybody. Because when we see more of these things happening, then we prepare the opposition to say, you see, we lost because of this, because automatically they are going to lose.
Automatically they are going to lose?
Yeah, they are going to lose.
But why do you,
they cannot,
why do you think so?
They won't manage. They don't have a candidate that matches the level of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. They don't have him.
You have a young candidate, Mr. Mulindwa, you have a young candidate, Robert Chagulanyi, 38 years old, who is commanding young people in this country, the second youngest. Yes, our country has the second youngest number of young people in the world, 75%. So if he's commanding that 75%, don't you think if they were to vote for him, he would win this election?
But let me tell you that we are almost out of the 142 districts, the youth district executives in the elections we had, I think I'm told about 40-something districts are going through unopposed NRM candidates. If Honorable Chagulanyi, is banking on the younger people, why is this happening? The other time I was here and I told you that even in his backyard, in the Magere village,
yes,
out of the 9 slots for the village youth leaders, 5 were NRM, including the chairperson, the vice chairperson, the secretary, the treasurer, and the others. They only managed to take one for students' affairs and the others like that. In his own village, Magere. So the talk is there that Bobby Wine has support for from the younger people. The talk is there.
Yes.
But practical on the ground, the youth that we categorize as silent majority are there for NRM. And this is what is happening.
You mean the unemployed youth are there for the NRM? The youth who are grappling with meager jobs are there for the NRM, Mr. Mulindwa?
Not only unemployed. Even if we are to do an election internally here,
yes, in
nation media, you would say NRM still winning among the younger people.
Right.
Not because they have jobs, but even those who don't have jobs, yes, the challenge is there. We still have a challenge with jobs. But I've said it that we are moving steadily. That's why you are able to see so many younger people lining up along Jinja Road in Mukona and Rugazi, entering those factories.
Right.
The more factories we bring in, the more employment we create. But the younger people are voting issues. They are young enough to analyze issues. And they say, but really, can this young man take us anywhere? We'd rather stay with the old man. And this thing is going to happen. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. Me, I've interacted with so many younger people, even in the opposition. I have found people who tell me, Rogers, we know your man is going to win. And I tell them, thank you very much. Let us give him some 2 more terms, maybe 21, then 26 to 31, and then we see what happens.
But he'll be 88 by then.
But what's wrong with the age now? Actually, the main benefit.
Don't you think this is a time when we should be thinking about training the young people so that when the old guards leave power, yes, you have someone to take over?
But that's what we are doing already. That's what the president is doing. First of all, he said, when he came to power, he said, we must have the youth representation at every stage. From the village, you have the younger people in the leadership, the LOC5, the sub-county, the parliament. Some of these MPs that come as youth MPs graduate into constituency MPs. I have always given examples of Honorable Rose Namayanja, who is the national treasurer of the party, but was a youth chairperson from the village level in Nakaseke, the district, to the MP, State Minister for Rural Triangle, Minister for National Guidance, Information National Guidance, and now a treasurer. Look at Honorable Rumumba, the Secretary General of the party. From the university, he was a DO for some years, 2 I think. Then he came one of the young MPs into Parliament, State Minister for Urban, then Chief Whip, and then General Secretary of the party. The Ronald Chibules, the Chiwandas, the Bahatis, the Anites. So the younger people are there. So the thing of training, Mzee is preparing, but he cannot say it's Mulindwa.
Right.
But if we have the pool of many younger people, by that time they will not be young. A pool of people, and then we'll start looking at one of them and say,
yes,
maybe Romeo should lead us.
I see.
Because it's obvious that Mr. Museveni will not be a president for life. But for now, we are saying he's still the best choice for this country. For you to secure your future, you need him.
And of course, you did mention that this election is focusing on ideals and the message. What is the message from the NRM? We've had the message from the National Unity Platform. It's about change. President Museveni has to vacate, and we have to get a new president so that we can effect the change that we want. But on the side of the NRM, what is the message?
Of course, I would even begin with a comment on what the opposition have. The same reason why they will continue losing. You cannot package your message and say what you want is Museveni to leave. You need to provide an alternative.
Because they believe it's the first change that can be effected in this country.
And I
After 3 decades.
I think they are getting it wrong. If there are issues they think we have done badly, I have always challenged them. If you think our education system is bad, we have not done it to your expectations, what is the alternative you have? Right. Can we hear from your education minister? If you think Uganda is insecure and there is no security and people are not enjoying the peace, what is your security minister saying? Mugati Gwabata, can we hear from that? So that's what they completely lack. If for agriculture we are underfunding, as they are saying, yes, can we hear from the opposition groups in other countries? That's where they concentrate. Because Ugandans now, we have educated them.
Opposition is saying that you're not giving them a chance to air out those views.
No, how did they then air out that? Because
that's what they're saying.
They said what they want is to have Museveni out of the way. And they have sung the song for the last so many years.
They're singing this song simply because most of the ideas they bring to the table are not taken on by the NRM. That's the argument I hear from them. They say we bring about these ideas, but the NRM never listens to them.
Wapi, they are telling lies. But of course, Uganda's opposition is like nothing. It looks like we don't have the opposition in this country.
It looks like we don't have the opposition in Uganda. Why do you say that?
We don't have the opposition in the country. They are not organized enough to be a threat to NRM. And actually, what we need to do as NRM is to reorganize ourselves internally to win an election. We can allow, we don't even need to go into the opposition to hunt for votes. They can be on the other side. So long as we organize ourselves very well, we shall automatically. We have a strategy, and we are implementing it to take us there. But the message, I don't want to preempt what we are going to do. As I said, you have seen the NRM coming up with activities one after the other.
Not really to preempt the messages, but then there is a special message that, you know what, the NRM is going to build schools. The NRM is going to build hospitals.
You see, what is the message? We have summarized that in securing your future as our slogan, securing your future.
But Mr. Mulinda,
that's where we are.
If the NRM failed to secure the future of Ugandans in the last 3 decades, what makes you think the next 10 years will be able to give Museveni enough time to do what he wants?
We have not failed. We have not failed. I need to come back here one day and I show you how far we have moved from 1986 to where we are now. And you'll see that we are steadily going upwards.
But Mr. Mulinda, if you look at 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic has wrought a lot of debilitating effects on this global economy, and Uganda has not been spared. The health sector, you've seen mothers giving birth to children on the floors, others on the way. There was poor transportation from home to the health centers. You saw what was happening, even reopening of the schools. Some schools might never reopen because they do not have the facilities that they need to put in place SOPs. It seems like everything went upside down because of poor planning this whole year 2020, exposing that we have not done enough to protect Ugandans. Social protection tools, where are they? The businesses are grappling, they're dead. Mr. Mulinda, isn't all this reason enough to say that the NRM failed within the last 30 years and then there's more that needs to be done?
No, that's the wrong assumption. But I wanted to conclude the other one, that our manifesto will be out and all these details will be given to the public when we are launching our manifesto. But two, I think on the continent,
yes, sir,
we have been ranked #1 in the way we have managed the COVID-19. There is no single country that prepared for this. No. Even America, they have suffered. Those giants have suffered. In Uganda, we have managed it. Yes, we have lost some lives, but we have at least managed it. Under that guidance of His Excellency the President, the committed ministry and the teamwork among our ministers, the support from the public because they are loyal to their government, it has helped us to get where we are now. Of course, COVID-19 has come with challenges, as you've said, and these are some of the issues we want to address. Today, as I was driving here, I saw students coming in, I mean walking to schools without masks, doing what? These are some of the gaps we have to fix. The economy, yes, it is true. There are some challenges.
Yes, sir.
But there is also, you have always heard the minister coming up to explain what we can do to get there. We shall have to get where we want to go. At one time, people thought we couldn't get the airline back. He said, no. You know, NRM is systematic in the way we operate. We know what we are going to have tomorrow. As we plan now, we are aware we are going to win an election. So we shall be the same people there.
Of course, Mr. Mlindwa, the airport reopened a few years or months to the election. So people were like, maybe it was a stunt for politics.
No, but that was our timing. When we are rehabilitating Mulago Hospital, when we are putting up the women hospital, when we are tarmacking roads, when we are building schools. You know, all these things have to happen.
But most of them are resuscitated a year to the election.
No, but you know that's within the plan.
Like we see silence from the government, year 1, year 2, year 3, but then they wake up around the 4th year and the 5th year.
For instance, Isimba Dam was commissioned in our 2nd year. Okay? The construction of Karuma Power Dam started actually in the election year 2015. So, and the construction is ongoing. And we are launching it perhaps in January. Because the government will continue functioning despite the elections, the government will still be there. So we are being systematic in everything we do, and Ugandans, that's actually the reason why Ugandans trust us. Of course, with the health sectors, I appreciate there are still people who even move longer distances, but we have tried to do better than what we had. I come from Luwero district, which was formerly Nakasangola district, Nakaseke district, and it was a very huge area. And we only had one hospital, and that's the Nakaseke Rufaro Hospital, Nakaseke Hospital. We had one. But as we talk now, we have health center 2s at parish levels. We have the health center 3s at sub-county levels. We have the center 4s with doctors. In Luwera, you know, in Nyimbwa, as a constituency, we have 2 doctors there. In Kasana, now Kasana is elevated to a hospital. Now, what does this mean? We may still have challenges with the drugs, but the infrastructure is there.
I see.
We have worked on personnel. Because I was even here the other time, I said, yes, people wanted us to have drugs in the hospitals. But we are saying we can't have the drugs under trees.
Indeed.
Can we have the infrastructure? Can we have Mbara University training medics? Can we do this? And then at the end of it, the issue of the drugs and theft of government drugs will be addressed. Once we do that, Uganda tugenda kuli sauti.
Of course, Mr. Mlindwa, there has been unequivocal development in Uganda for the last 30 years. But then what the message I'm getting from the opposition is that 2020, because of the pandemic, is undoing most of the work, most of the good work NRM had achieved. And they contend that maybe this could be a COVID-19 election where the voter is looking at what has President Museveni done for me to alleviate my suffering during this COVID-19 pandemic. But then I shall get to you on that shortly after interfacing with Mr. Nsingwire, who has some really good news for us. Mr. Nsingwire, very good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nsingwire Godfrey from here, Masindi. But what is happening in our neighbor district, that is Bulisa district, nowadays, pupils or candidates of Butiaba Primary School are sharing the health center with the patients. Now, what happened? Butiaba Health Center 3 was submerged by floods that was resulting from the rising levels of water from Lake Albert. Butiaba Health Center 3 is located at the shores of Lake Albert. So, after being submerged by the floods, what the authorities of Bulisa district did, they shifted the health center to Butiaba Primary School. Now, what is happening right now? Some of the classrooms of Butiaba Primary School have been turned into delivery rooms and OPD. So what is happening right now, pupils of Butiaba Primary School are sharing the health center, are sharing the premises with the patients. Now, the district authorities have tried to intervene to the high authorities, but yesterday when we were there, we were told the high authorities have done nothing to see that they relocate the health center to a convenient place. Butiaba Health Center 3 has been serving to close 2,000 people. from that very sub-county, and everyone is complaining they're not now that they're not getting the health services as expected. So there is a lot of chaos in the Bulisa district, and also, as you know, expectant mothers, they need that privacy, but now it's not happening. Imagine someone, going into a delivery room that is next to a P7 class. This side pupils are shouting, the other side they have patients. So it's just a chaos in Wisa district. And yesterday we interacted with the in charge of Butiaba Health Center 3, and he told us they're just in the mess. They're just waiting upon the government to see what they can do. Most of the houses around the Lake Albert has been taken away by water, and that's what's happening in Bulisa. And we are waiting from the government to see if they can intervene in that situation. So that is what's happening from this side of Bunyoro region.
For that update, yes, we shall get back to you when we need more updates in that regard. But thank you for making the time to speak to NTV Uganda. And to you who is watching, many thanks for the love and support. Yes, that you put in. 6:30 a.m. up to now. And I still do have Mr. Rogers Mulindwa, the communications manager at the NRM. We are unpacking the just concluded MP nominations. We are also taking a look at the presidential, nominations that shall be taking center stage on the 2nd and 3rd of November. So we shall be unpacking the preparations for the NRM. Mr. Mulindwa, we were talking about COVID-19. Yes, wreaking havoc on the global economy. So in Uganda here, you have people who are saying this is a COVID-19 election. They are saying you have a voter who is going to judge the NRM not based on what you did for the last 30 years, but based on what you did during the COVID-19 pandemic. Did you rescue the businesses? Did you rescue the unemployed youth or those who lost their jobs during the season? Did you rescue the elderly, the young adolescents suffering with sexual reproductive health challenges? Aren't you worried that you might be judged on those pointers during this election and not what you did for the last 30 years?
Not worried at all. Actually, as I said, there's quite a lot we have done. But even if we are to go by a period of COVID, Ugandans have, I think they can agree with me, that President Yoweri Museveni has proved that he's a tested and a trusted leader with the capacity to protect us against weapon struggles, and even a pandemic, okay?
Right.
Because, as I told you, Uganda is ranked #1 in the continent. We have done our part.
Yes, we've done our part.
So for securing their lives,
yes,
is just good enough to vote for us. To say, I have seen people writing on social media from outside Africa, and they're saying, how does Museveni make it? That is just, if they can even rely on that to say, this man has illustrated the ability to protect us against COVID-19, I think is the best choice of the country. Let me ask you, Dr. Kizza Besigye is a medical doctor. Did he even donate a kilo of maize flour?
He said he wanted to be on the National COVID-19 Task Force, and he was denied by chance.
No, they were all represented. Honorable Nandala Mafabi, those political parties were part of the National Task Force. He didn't do that. But I've always even told you that you look at Dr. Kizza Besigye, for instance, he has never put up even a health center. So issues to do with the health, NRM is scoring higher, and I think our brothers and sisters in the opposition, they will automatically have to lose this, because Ugandans have seen what NRM can do, and in the person of His Excellency the President, a lot of work has been done. We are the only one that can help you secure your future.
Rogers Mulindwa, the NRM communications manager, telling us that even though the NRM was unable to offer reprieve to the actually grappling businesses and other Ugandans in Uganda, they were able to save so many lives, and that is the biggest issue that has to be remembered. Thank you very much, Rogers Mulindwa. And